Hi, Dr. Malawala. My name is Amelia Marson, and today I'm doing lab number 2, which is chemical reaction stoichiometry, limiting reactant and percent yield lab. So right here I have the printout off DTL of our lab procedure, and over here I just have my lab notebook that I will also include pictures at the end of this video explaining what each page is. So before we dive into this lab, I wanted to talk about the purpose of the lab. I believe the purpose of this lab is to observe and identify types of chemical reactions, and also to determine how a limiting reactant will affect the amount of product formed. So right here I have my 4 preparations. We have my cupric sulfate with distilled water, and my observations of that right now would be a liquid blue. The solid did dissolve into the water, and right here I have my sodium carbonate, and the initial observation I have, it's just clear, and it did dissolve. And then right here I have my hydrochloric acid, which is a little bit of a green yellow liquid. So that was that one. And then my 4th one, I have my ammonium hydroxide, which is also just a clear liquid. Okay, so for our first reaction experiment, we're going to use our hydrochloric acid, and I've pre-cut my piece of aluminum foil just for time's sakes, and I'm going to take this one, move it over here just so I know which one I'm dealing with, take this off, and then I'm going to, I crumbled it loosely, and I'm going to place that in my thing. Okay, so the aluminum is now in my hydrochloric acid. My aluminum is now in my hydrochloric acid. I'm noticing a lot of fizzing happening and smoke happening, trying to get the aluminum. Let's put it down. Lots of smoke, fizzing. Oh, and it looks like it is dissolving the aluminum. So looking at these observations right now, I believe this was an exothermic reaction along with a single replacement. Okay, so while that's still happening, I'm gonna kind of push the aluminum back down. Yeah, when you push it back down, it just goes right back up. Okay, so the water did turn a little murkier, definitely, and it's still smoking. Okay. Yeah, now it's like a gray liquid color. So I'm just gonna keep watching this until I believe it's kind of done, and then we'll move on to reaction 4. Okay, so here we are on reaction 4, which is aluminum foil with cupric chloride. So right here I have my cupric chloride, which is a teal, solid, almost powdery substance, and then I just have my clear distilled water, which is obviously liquid. And then, so I have my 3 grams in here, and my 20 milliliters of distilled water, which I pre-measured both, again, for time's sake. And I'm going to add my distilled water in. Okay, now, put it in my beaker, the water did turn like a pretty teal blue, so I'm just, going to stir this. Now that I'm done stirring the water, it all dissolved into a liquid together, and the water is more of a blue now. And then I also measured out my piece of aluminum foil. So I am going to place that in here, and let's see what happens. Okay, I'm noticing bubbling around the aluminum foil. The aluminum foil looks like it's turning red. Red. Let's see if it dissolves all the way. Okay, so the aluminum did dissolve all the way, and it did turn the water a bit like muckier, maybe a little bit greener. The bubbles did end up dying down. So I do believe this was an exothermic reaction along with a single displacement. So I'm going to cover this back up, and then we'll move on to reaction 1. Okay, so now we have moved on to reaction 1, which is sodium carbonate and cupric sulfate. So I've measured out my 3 milliliters of cupric sulfate right here, and now I have my 3 milliliters of sodium carbonate. I've taken the masses in my notebook, and now I'm going to pour the sodium carbonate into the cupric sulfate solution. Okay, so we had a clear liquid and a blue liquid. When I poured them together, my first observation is it's a little bit cloudy. Some clouds might have happened. It looks kind of like jelly. Okay, so I'm going to let this sit for a little bit. I'm gonna mask that, and then I'll get back. Okay, so I used my filter and my funnel to separate the solid and the liquid, and it did separate, so I do believe this was an exothermic reaction along with a double replacement. And I took the masses in my lab notebook, but now we're going to move on to reaction 2 with hydrochloric acid and ammonium hydroxide. Okay, so I'm going to measure out 2 milliliters of my hydrochloric acid. Okay, that should be good. And then I'm going to pour that into a test tube. So I'm pouring my hydrochloric acid 2 milliliters into a test tube. Right now it's still a yellow greenish liquid, so pouring that in. Okay, now I'm gonna attach a small piece of filter paper to my glass rod with a rubber band. Okay, so my filter paper is wet, and now I'm going to hover over the hydrochloric acid in the test tube and see what happens. Okay, here we go. Hovering, I'm noticing smoke, definitely, a bit of an odor, cloudy. So I do believe this is a combination reaction and also a exothermic reaction. Smoke. Okay. Oh yeah, there's a lot of it. Okay. So now I'm going to dispose of all my chemicals properly, and then at the end of this video I will add my analysis and all of my lab notebook pages and explain them. Thank you for watching. Bye! Okay, so this is the first page of my lab notebook for this experiment. I have the title, my name, the class, and the section number. I also have the purpose of this experiment and the references on this page. I have 7 references. My first reference is me citing the lab handout, and the other 6 references is me citing the SDS sheets for each chemical we used in this lab. Okay, this is my second page in my lab notebook for lab number 2. This page has my references continued since I couldn't fit all my references on one page. So I have that at the top, and then my property and safety table at the bottom, and that contains each of the compound names, the molecular weight, the melting point, boiling point, density, and the safety for each chemical that I referenced and each chemical that I used in this lab. Okay, so right here on this page is my research plan for lab number 2. So A through B is all my preparation work that I wrote down, so when I got down to my kitchen I knew how to prepare everything efficiently. And then C through D starts the reactions. So I have my short little notes about what to do for the reactions with my hydrochloric acid and my cupric chloride. So that is what this page is about. Okay, so this page is my experimental page where I have my notes of observations that I'm seeing when I'm doing A, B, C, and D. So I have just qualities of the chemicals that I see. I've wrote down a gram amount that I've used, and just anything that I'm seeing while I'm preparing and doing the first reactions is on this page. Okay, so this page is the second half of my research plan. I have on this side the steps of how to do experiments A and B with those reactions, and I just have notes of how much to use and what chemical to use. Okay, and this is the second experiment page. On this page, I have my notes from reactions A and B, where I wrote the weights in grams that I got, if it's exothermic or endothermic. I wrote the type of reaction and the aqueous and solid mass. Okay, this page is the first page of my analysis. I have my analysis for reactions 2, 3, and 4, where each of them I answer all 6 questions talking about the observations of the reactants, the products, and I give the balanced chemical equation along with the type of reactions, double replacement, single replacement, and also if it's exothermic or endothermic. Okay, this right here is the last page of my lab notebook, which is me answering more of the analysis questions. So I have reaction 1 and 2, answering questions like the observations I'm seeing, what the products looked like, a balanced chemical equation, the type of reaction, and if it's endothermic or exothermic. And then I have my stoichiometric analysis of reaction A, and all that worked out 1 through 3.